Pew Research Center recently asked a bunch of Americans, are you bothered by hearing people speak in public in languages other than English? And that seems like a weird question to ask. Who would be, like of all the things to be bothered by, why would you be bothered by that? But it turns out some people are bothered by that. It turns out there are actually some trends in terms of who's bothered by it. Can you guess? If we were to break it down politically? Well, 47% of Republican or Republican-leaning white respondents said they would be bothered some or a lot by a person speaking a language in public that was not English. 18% of white respondents who identified as Democrat or Democrat-leaning said that they would be bothered. So that's 47 Republican, 18 Democrat. Neither of those numbers are good, although one is obviously slightly less good. What do you think?
No entiendo este.
Could you not?
Nihongo hanasemasu. I just like it so much. I really like stories like this where it's like, I kind of believe that this is probably the case, and I like the experience. I like to imagine the people who are taking this survey that are like, finally, someone's asking the real tough questions. Yes, it pisses me off to hear this. It really takes a lot out of my day to hear another English.
Hold up.
What?
What is that? On my show, I can't read any of that. A little bit.
You're gonna hate the Gaelic one later.
Oh my God, again. On my air. What is
Republican?
I don't know how to. What is that?
Show. I don't know. That's Scotch Gaelic according to Google Translate.
Is it Scotch Gaelic? Because it actually looks like Elvish. I don't know anything. I've studied a few languages. I don't know anything.
For those who are reading the podcast, we're having listening to the podcast. We're having a psychotic episode. Exactly. There's no reason for us to be doing this. No idea what's going on. Okay, wait. I want to give some more information before we launch into it. See that you do.
58% of white Democrats said they wouldn't be bothered. 26% of white Republicans also answered the same. But that is, to me, more interesting than those who admitted that they'd be bothered. That means out of a huge group of Republicans, only 1 in 4 wouldn't be bothered or aren't sure if they'd be bothered. And what does that answer even mean? You've been in public, you've heard people speak languages, you don't know yet whether you'd be bothered. Those people are bothered, okay? Can we just admit that?
It just bothers me so much that we Americans don't have our own language. Here we are speaking some stupid empire's dumb, stupid language. And that's why I advocate on behalf of my Republican brothers and sisters to just use words that have been invented in English since the invention of America. Hamburger, McDonald's, French fry.
Anyway, really fast, I want to break this down by race though, because 34% of all respondents, white respondents, regardless of party, would be bothered by this. 24% of black respondents, the same percentage of Asian respondents, 14% of Hispanics said the same. And look, we're obviously joking around because we don't take anything seriously anymore because our ability to seriously engage with the news has been destroyed by the last few years. But this is serious because the percentage who say that it would bother them, for the most part, they'll take it out on their partner later, they'll complain or something. But some don't just complain, some take it farther. So let's take just a brief tour through how this plays out day by day across the country through a few headlines. California gas station clerk fired after ranting against women speaking Spanish. He doesn't just take it internally, he takes it to his job and he attacks people who speak Spanish. Texas principal under fire for alleged anti-immigrant bullying and harassment, including for people who are speaking Spanish. Restaurant worker who says she was fired for speaking Spanish fights back. People are losing their jobs. People are getting attacked for speaking this language. Some just get annoyed, others turn it into violence or political activism on the right. So this is incredibly consequential in practice.
Yeah.
Really fast,
free speech,
my girlfriend, who is Mexican American, she was like physically accosted not long after Donald Trump's election in a laundromat. She was speaking Spanish to a friend of hers, and the woman got up in her face, backed her up to the table, and started ranting about making America great again and stuff like that. Triggered so much by simply hearing a little bit of Spanish spoken casually in a public place that she considered the possibility of assaulting a person that she didn't know.
And you can, it's insane, and this is just like the weird trickle that ends up being making someone feel comfortable enough to accost someone, and that is the difference between free speech and just being a jerk in a way that you have legal liability for when you go and essentially assault someone in a laundromat. And I am not hurting your free speech by pointing out that you're being a jerk when you do that. And if you work at a gas station and you rant against a customer for speaking Spanish, you're legally allowed to do that. But if I run that gas station, I should absolutely be allowed to fire you for it.
For attacking a person.
For attacking a customer.
Yeah, and if you think that this is sort of, I get it. It's a little bit weird for a Pew poll, but this is important, and this also means something. Steve King, who's like just an out-and-out white nationalist, white supremacist in office right now, going around publicly supporting other white supremacists in other elections in other countries. How did he get his start? He got his start pushing English is the only acceptable language legislation. That's what he did. That's what he got elected on. When he was a new representative, that's what he was pushing. So this is a hot button thing for those sorts of people, and it represents something far more, and something I would say far more insidious.
Yeah. Anyway. Go for it.
No, you go. You have the last comment.
It just really makes me very angry in a general way to see that this is the way things are developing in this nation, because the three stories, including this one that we've discussed, are about essentially a shift in what people feel is acceptable in this country. And when they're talking about making America great again, they're not. The way they describe their approach to doing that is not great at all.
No.
It is the worst. It caters to the worst instincts, and it makes America terrible.
Yeah.
And I think, I totally am fine with the concept of making America great again. I think America's great when people are allowed to speak whatever damn language they want.
Yeah, and honestly, a lot of times I'd prefer that it wasn't English, because if it's not English, I can't understand it. I was at a restaurant last night, and in a neighboring restaurant, group of young people came out, and one said really loudly, "We need to figure out who's gonna bring Jordan home, who lives closest to Jordan," and then presumably Jordan said something, and then that main person said, "Ugh, no Jordan." And if they'd been speaking any language other than English, I would not have had to know how horribly they treated Jordan. But now I know the group dynamic, and it makes me sad.
It's amazing.
Thanks for watching this free clip of the Young Turks. Don't forget to become a TYT member today. For more exclusive content, join now at tyt.com/join.